Hi, welcome back to the channel. So as you can see, I have a different set again today, and that's because I have temporarily moved to Notting Hill, which reminded me of the recent Oscars issue that Hugh Grant ran into. If you haven't seen it, this is the bit where Hugh Grant gets interviewed by Ashley Graham and the internet goes wild because the one hand, the American contingent say that he is being very dismissive and very rude in his answers to her questions, whereas the Brits are all saying that he's being completely reasonable. I for one think that he was being completely reasonable in his answers to her questions. His suit was indeed made by his tailor. What else is the man supposed to say? He probably didn't want to single out a particular movie or person to support, so he simply said nothing. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and of course don't forget to tell us where you're from. Anyway, that's this week's topic for now. I'll see you again next week. Only joking. We are going to be talking about which treatments have the most impactful result from just doing one thing. I was thinking about this in clinic today because often when you're doing full facial contouring work, it takes quite a lot of work. So you have to use multiple syringes of filler, often over many different appointments in order to get a good result. And that's because you're treating a very large area. But which treatments will give you a really good result just from one treatment? The first ones are the most obvious ones. So number one, of course, we've got under eye filler. So if you have hollowing underneath the eye, it's casting a shadow there, it makes you look a bit tired, a little bit run down, a bit not yourself. You can use some hyaluronic acid dermal filler underneath the eye to improve that contour. Wham bam, easy. Number two, nose filler. If your nose has a bump in it, or if it has a dip, then hyaluronic acid nose filler will really do the trick to straighten it out. This is a fairly straightforward and easy treatment to have done, and it can really make the difference to your profile. In case it wasn't immediately obvious, if you have a dip in the nose, you place the filler directly into the depression to make it appear straight. On the other hand, it's a bump, then you place the product above and below where the bump is, which gives the optical illusion of having a straighter nose. This has a satisfaction rating of 95% on Real Self, which is huge. Which is really interesting actually, because rhinoplasty is the most complained about surgery that there is. So rhinoplasty patients are the ones most likely to be dissatisfied with their surgical outcome. So for 95% of people who have had a non-surgical rhinoplasty to be satisfied, it really is quite puzzling. Number three, chin filler. So if you're someone like myself who is a bit of a chinless wonder, any kind of dermal filler used in the chin is going to really balance out your profile. You have a choice here. You can either use a traditional hyaluronic acid, or you could go for something like a calcium hydroxyapatite there. Chin filler has a satisfaction rate of 91% on Real Self, which is quite interesting. I would say that was quite good, quite high. Sometimes patients ask, why should I get chin filler instead of having a chin implant? Which I think is a really good question, because an implant, of course, is going to be there over the longer term, whereas chin filler is something that you might have to do multiple times, although filler does last longer than we initially thought, or indeed than the manufacturers initially thought. My big issue with someone having a chin implant, it is the chin crease, because the implant does not extend up to treating the crease of the chin here. So as you get older, what often happens is you'll have the implant here, but this crease will get worse and worse and worse with age. And if you have an implant there, it can make it harder to treat the chin crease, and you're at increased risk of infection. In fact, some providers will not treat someone's chin crease if they have had a previous chin implant. If someone gets an infection there, it can be a total nightmare. They're going to have to go back to the surgeon in all likelihood to have the implant removed. It's tricky. Number four are Aptos threads. Not sure if this is cheating actually, because it is a bigger treatment than treating either the under eye, the nose, or the chin, but you are doing it in one treatment session, so I think it counts. The reason that I like this is because nothing else is going to give you the same kind of lifting capacity immediately in one treatment session as doing the Aptos threads. And you can treat, for example, both the mid-face, the jawline and the neck all at the same time, should you so wish. Thread lifts come in at having a 78% customer satisfaction rate on Real Self. I attribute this to a combination of factors. So first of all, this is a primarily North American site, so they do not have the same types of threads in the States as we have access to over here. Number two, I think that thread lifts are only suitable for certain patients, and in the past they were really kind of overpromised with the results. So they were touted as being an alternative to surgery. I would not say that they were an alternative to surgery. I would say that the Aptos threads, for example, are suitable for patients perhaps aged 35 to 55. If someone is a surgical candidate, threads are not going to work for them. In the spirit of really mixing it up this video, a lot of you mentioned recently that I have lost some weight. You would be right about that. If you recall, I did have a baby about a year ago. In fact, he is 1 next week. And I have been taking the celebrity's favourite, Ozempic. So Ozempic's been really great for me. I've lost probably about 15 kilograms now. I don't know what that is in pounds. You're gonna have to Google it if you really care that much. And I found it to be superb. I haven't had any side effects to speak of. It's really been a winner for me. Oh, there's some drama going on here. It's quite rough in Notting Hill. So my BMI was indeed 27 or above before I started it. And if you're interested to know if you're a candidate for Ozempic, please click on the link in the description, fill in a form, and I can let you know. Oh, but make sure that you can get to London, because for my insurance purposes, I do have to see you at least once in person. Can I just tell you as well, I've bumped into loads of people in Notting Hill, and I've only been here about 2 weeks, I think. So I saw a friend on the street randomly, and if you live in London, you know how unlikely that is that you're ever going to bump into someone without pre-arranging to meet them. Then I saw the dog groomer, which is very peculiar. She doesn't even live here. Then I saw one of my patients in a cafe. Weird. I was very discreet though, I didn't say anything. And then I found out that the new website designer lives on the next street to here. It's really weird. Perhaps this is the universe trying to tell me something. Anyway, I'll see you next week, and probably in the next week I'll bump into both Hugh Grant and Julia Roberts. Anyway, see you later.